A judge quashes a Montana law creating escalating cannabis licensing fees. A Montana judge has restricted state regulators from collecting escalating fees from adult use cannabis operators based on the number of stores they own. The order effectively overturns a key element of House Bill 903, which we actually covered here on High at 9 News back when this was coming out, which required entrepreneurs with multiple retail licenses to pay higher fees, according to the Independent Record. The law, signed by Republican Governor Greg Gianforte in May, levied an initial licensing fee of $5,000, with each subsequent permit costing an additional $5,000. So a second location would cost $10,000, a third would cost $15,000, and so on. In some instances, the fee structure would cost marijuana retailers more than $250,000 annually. Helena Judge Mike Menahan issued the order on January 5th in response to a lawsuit filed by state-licensed marijuana retailers Granite Peak Holdings, Maramint, and TSB Montana, the Independent Record reported. And in this ruling, Menahan wrote that the original fee structure generated sufficient fees to cover operational costs of the state's Department of Revenue for regulating the Montana Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, according to the news outlet. Moran also ordered that any fees paid under the new law should be returned to operators, and adult use sales in Montana began back in January 1st of 2022, and thanks to a 2020 voter initiative that lawmakers tweaked back in 2021. So this is fantastic news for dispensary operators out there in the great big sky of Montana, out there in what they call God's country. And what do you guys think about this? This is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do you think?
About time somebody stopped it.
Right? That's
Here
what
in
I
California,
thought.
we have very tight rules here in California about how much you can charge for fees.
Mm-hmm.
They have to cover only the cost of what you're trying to regulate. And this sounds like they're just trying to jackboot things up. And, you know, across the country, there's been tax revolt since the 1970s. In California, we had Prop 13. It says you just can't tax the shit out of us unless we agree to it. And so the games got played, and now even fees.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even charge a fee unless you go to the voters. And those fees can only cover the cost to regulate the business you're charging a fee to. So I think it's about time they stop this nonsense.
I agree. I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if the CDTFA is actually monitoring what just happened in Montana, and could anticipate a similar judgment in the Elliott Lewis case.
Well, I don't think that you can cross-pollinate Montana law to California. We have enough.
I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that. I was just saying that these types of things tend to trend in similar states with similar outcomes generally, and so I'm just wondering if they're monitoring this. That's all.
Well, I'm happy to see that a judge put an end to this, because politics was not going to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do here in California, is we have to litigate, file suit, and get a judge to step in and stop some of this nonsense. And, you know, it's unfortunate. It costs a lot of money to do that. But adding 10,000 to each license, I mean, that's discouraging people from using.
No, they're adding 5,000 to each license. 5,000 to each license. So each additional. So if you had 5 stores, then you would be paying $25,000 for the last store, $20,000 for the fourth, $15,000 for the third, and $10,000 for the second, and $5,000 for the first in total to renew your licenses.
Like a gang enhancement.
Exactly, bro. Exactly, Luke. Exactly.
That's not related to what it costs to monitor those licenses either.
And that's what the judge.
That's part of the problem.
That's what the judge ruled and said. Now I wonder how fast are these guys actually going to get their money back though from the state, or if they're just going to issue them a credit going forward.
Never.
Like insurance companies, dude. We got it now. You got to drag it out of us.
Exactly.
Where's the drum roll on that? Yeah. You weren't really serious about that, were you?
I'm 100% serious about that.
Getting their money back from the tax man? Come on, man.
Yeah,
like, that's the whole point.
The judge just ruled the judge ruled that they have to give them the money back. The judge ruled that.
Oh yeah.
But when's that going to happen?
They'll probably give it to them in a tax credit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm willing to bet they never get the money back. They're not going to get like a check from the state and the bank saying, "Hey, we overcharged you guys." They're just going to be like, "Hey, next year you don't get to give us no money."
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's why I said once they get the money, the money don't come back out of the tax man's pocket.
And I wonder what Montana is doing so much differently than California, where it only costs $5,000 to renew your license annually for a dispensary. Just saying.
They got the Duttons up there. That's what's different.
Cost of living's a lot lower there, dude.
Well, I mean, let you tell it, Dale.
I mean, they give you a price for every employee that's going to work. I've seen some of these justifications for fees, and they're horseshit. I mean, they assign X number of personnel, and they give you so many dollars it costs per person, and then they're supposed to do a yearly evaluation and adjust the fees, and that just takes time. And a lot of it is just absolute nonsense. It don't take that much to monitor these things unless you need 10 cops to go along with you to check and see if someone's got one extra plant in their garden.
I mean, there's not like 10 people in Montana. I mean, other than like Helena and Billings, I mean, you really have like you're walking 3 days to go get milk. Well, so like, but you know, it's interesting. Like, it's interesting the way the cannabis industry unfolded in Montana is like, it could be a textbook example of some things what not to do and some things that you should do, because Chris Williams opened a dispensary back in, I want to say 06 or 07, and he was raided pretty fast. I mean, they're still super conservative in Montana, still to this day right now.
That's why it's called God's country, Luke.
I mean, I don't know if God's conservative or not. He looks liberal in a lot of areas, but I'm not sure. But anyway, my point is that in the way it unfolded, right, you had really heavy policing at first. Then you had some dispensaries like being like vandalized, like get out of our town, like bricks through the window and stuff like that. They had a real struggle, like getting a foothold in that market and being established and getting to where people trusted dispensaries. And so to see where they're at now, like, applauds to Montana, but they still have a long way to go. But I hope they do. And I think this is one of the ways that can help them get there is, listen, you have to be able to stop suffocating the market with taxes. You can't suffocate any industry with taxes, or it's not going to flourish. It's going to tank. And then all the naysayers get to point and say, see, we told you so. They don't get to tell the real story about how I had to pay $25,000 for my fifth store.
I feel you. I feel you on that. And on that.
And the trap wins.
And the trap, that's right. The trap keeps it popping. That's right. But coming up next,